What is going on YouTube? My name is Rye and welcome to the Rising Legend YouTube channel. So in this video, I am actually going to be doing my take on Varga Dragres deck for Dear Days 2. Now, recently actually, Different Fight covered the deck on his channel, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't think he did bad. By any means, nothing he said was really wrong. There's really no right answer. But, if you guys haven't seen his, go ahead and check that out. We all know Different Fight's amazing. But, what I want to do is I actually want to kind of explain what I'm doing different from him. So, I have a completely different take on Varga from Different Fight. So, this was his list that he was running when he did his video. Personally, as I said, I have a different take. I'm not going to say that anything he did was wrong. It's just personally not the way I am, personally not the way I want to do it. So, what he was doing is that he was running things pretty simple, okay? But the few things that I have done that I'm doing differently, I do believe he said he wanted to use blue OT, but he didn't have it, so he put purple. And that's fine, of course, He'll probably eventually swap for the blue one, and that's good. I noticed he was running fronts, and I understand the reasoning for it. I think that he's valid to it. If with all the effects that draw cards in Varga, he could, draw into the fronts, and it would be better than drawing into a draw trigger. Which makes a lot of sense, honestly. But, personally, I feel like front triggers are kind of wasted in the deck. That's my take on it. I'd actually rather run draws in the deck instead of the fronts. Now, my reason for that is that, you have a Vanguard that swings multiple times, and it kills your front row most of the time. And sure, you could have units that, replace themselves, or you have the Axe Dragon that doesn't get retired, but you may not always have those units. And I just feel like draw triggers would be a little bit more reliable. Because, if, say that you don't kill with your Divine Skill, which typically you should, but for some reason you don't, at least you can use it to build up your hand, and, checking draw triggers would help doing so. And, hitting your draws early definitely does help. While hitting your, getting your fronts early, I guess, drawing into them isn't the worst thing in the world. It's extra shield value, but, I feel like with a centerline focused deck that it really is better just to have the draws. Because, what if, off chance, you have to put units in the front row that you cannot keep on the board? Like, for example, the Rideline Grade 2, the Axe Dragon. If that thing clears itself off the board, and you check front triggers when you swing your Vanguard and you have no front row, then your front triggers are kind of useless. Like, sure, you'll still get the power, but you're not getting any other bonuses out of it. Maybe the extra shield, but personally, I just like the draws better. I'm not saying what he does is wrong. He might be running the fronts because he's running a full 4 copies of Glaive, and so he tries to make sure he sees his pieces that either don't get retired or that replace themselves in the front row. Like, Shinri, I think it was, right? Like, that unit, when it's retired, you can Carabal's one and bring it back. So, he's probably, I noticed that he's also running 3 of a different grade 1 as well. And I think that one probably has an effect that retires itself to draw cards as well. And that's not a bad idea by any means. I definitely think that's a valid option to run. I'm personally trying something a little different, though. And I'll go into my differences in my list. But by no means do I think anything he said is wrong or bad. Realistically, it's perspective and preference. You know, I definitely understand that maybe he's running the fronts instead of draws because, you know, he's maximizing his units that either cannot be retired from the front row or replace themselves, as well as, you know, he has a whole bunch of units that he has additional units that draw cards, and so, you know, it gives him more chances to draw into the extra shield from the fronts. And so I think that's a valid option, honestly. But I do think I remember when I watched the video, he did say he was going to switch out the purple OT for blue OT. Blue OT is most definitely the best option for this deck. But I just wanted to kind of talk about some of the stuff that he was doing. So what I'm doing differently for my version of Varga. So I'm only running 2 of Glaive. Personally, I think it's good, but I don't want to draw more than 1 copy. You know, I understand that he was maximizing it because he wanted to see it, but I feel like the deck goes through its cards fast enough that I'll be able to see it by running, you know, only having 2 copies. And it gives me more space to run more utility options. And if you don't know what Varga does, I'll go through them real quick. So, when I was saying why I don't agree with front triggers personally, it's because of its restand effect. You know, the off chance you don't have your glaive or you don't have your Shinris, then I feel like fronts are a lot less relevant personally. But I do see the value in running them if you're maximizing all your units that'll stay in the front row. But here's what I'm doing. But first we'll read what Varga does real quick. So, it has auto Vanguard once per turn. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, you can +1 retire all your opponent's front row rear guards, and this unit gets 10,000 power to the end of the turn. At the end of the battle stand, this unit gets drive -2. So that's kind of like my fear for the fronts. Because of that, I feel like personally I'd rather have the draws. Because you know, again, if you have nothing else in your front row, it's better to get the additional card. You might draw into one of your perfect guards or something, for example. But the second effect is the divine skill that is once per game. Auto Vanguard, at the end of battle, this unit attacks a grade 3 or greater unit if your opponent's damage zone has 4 or more cards, and this unit has attacked 2 or more times this turn. Carry +1, stay in this unit, gets drive +2 until the end of the turn. So, keyword, divine skill only works when your opponent's a grade 3. Here's where my perspective differs from different fights. Funny sentence. Okay. He likes to go first with Varga. I don't like that personally. I personally think that going second has more value, by my perspective. Since you can only use the divine skill if your opponent's met 2 conditions. Your opponent's at grade 3 and they have 4 more damage. I feel like going second is preferable with Varga, because it means you can get your divine skill earlier. Now, hear me out when I say this. You'll notice, you know, as I said, I'm not just running less of this because I don't want to brick on it. That is the main thing. But, you know, with the additional draw power, you know, we got draw triggers and stuff. We have this thing, you know, if we call it out to the board for whatever reason, like maybe we either hard call it or we revive it from our drop zone after using it to guard off of Falheart's skill. You know, we have other ways of drawing cards in the deck. This card can be used twice in a game with the 1 copy. If it's in your hand, you can use it once for defending, and then if you call out a Falheart later in the game, it can bring it back to from the drop zone. So you have 2 chances of getting this card's effects, and you can get both effects during the fight. So, another reason I've decided to run less of this, I want this deck, to have a very good early game. Now, you might be thinking, what if your opponent damage denies you? Let them. I have actually played against someone online who has damage denied me when I was playing Varga, and then they were running low on cards in deck because it was going into far too late game. And they decided, oh crap, I'm almost out of cards in deck. I better start getting aggressive and try to go for the kill. They gave me 4 damage in 1 turn and couldn't kill. I had 2 copies of, not Shinri, Shura. I had 2 copies of Shura in my hand. And so I was able to use both of Varga's restands and double Shura. I don't know why I said Shinri earlier, I think. But Shura. So it's actually fine if they damage tonight. You know, you just play along with it. Like, I still tried to be aggressive, and it works. Believe it or not, it does work. I see more value going second with Varga, because it gives you the chance to use Varga's Divine Skill the moment you hit grade 3. And so what my game plan is when I'm playing Varga, I try to aggro the moment I ride. So, the moment I've ridden to grade 1, this grade 1 is very good going second. So, the skill that you usually use it for is its second skill. The continuous, that when you would ride from the ride deck, you could pay the cost for the Soul Blast instead of discarding a card. But that first skill is relevant as well. During your turn, this unit gets 2,000 power for each of your rear guards. So, what I like to do, the moment, with me going second, I like to call down at least 3 grade 1s the moment I ride grade 1. So, we ride into our grade 1, and I'm calling out any, up to 3 grade 1s of these 3. And I'm starting to just launch attack after attack at my opponent. If I attack with my first grade 1, and they hit a defensive, guess what? With a booster behind your Vanguard here, it hits over defensives. Because with the defensive, your opponent is an 8,000 power Vanguard, they get the 10,000 from a trigger, they're only 18k. And because this unit gets 2,000 power for each of your rear guards, and you have about 3, you're getting 6,000 power. He's 14,000 power on his own, and then if you have your Varga specific booster behind him, or whatever behind him, that's another 8,000 power. You're hitting a 20,000 power threshold. I think. No, wait. 2, 4, 6, 14, 22,000 power. My bad. So you're hitting over your opponent's defensive if they get one. And if you, for some reason, get a trigger, and then you can give your other your last standing rear guard that power, so that can hit too. There's a chance that on your grade 1 turn, you could put your opponent to 3 to 4 damage very easily going second. And that would already turn on your Varga. Now, for some reason, it doesn't. On your next turn, you're not using any cards to ride. Because you're using your grade 1 skill in the ride line to ride for free, essentially, with the Soul Blast. It's your Boulder Axe. And if for some reason your opponent hasn't attacked your rear guards, slide them to the back row, call out 2 grade 2s, and now they have to face another full 3 attacks. But typically, by that point, they will start realizing, okay, I should attack their rear guards. Sure. Let them. It's completely fine. Because then when you go to grade 2, you're going to call down even more, and you're going to swing at least 2 to 3 attacks more. And then by the time you ride into Varga, your opponent's usually already sitting at 3 to 4 damage, And if they are at 3 damage and not the 4 damage threshold that you're required for the divine skill, well, you're going to be swinging still 3 attacks every single turn practically, regardless. So you're going to be getting them to the threshold to get your divine skill live. But I'll quickly go over some of the options that, that Different Fight was not running in his list. So, you got your Glaive here. It can't be retired from your Vanguard skill, and it can boost if you wanted to. That's it in short. Shura is one of your multi-attack extenders. If it's retired, you can, and from your Vanguard skill specifically, you Caramel's 1, call it back to rear guard from the drop zone and give it 10,000 power. And when she attacks, you can pay an Energy Blast 2 cost to give it 5,000 power to the end of the battle. Notice how that skill is not restricted to Vanguard grade. You can actually call this down on your grade 2 turn and hit over defensives potentially. Because if your opponent's on grade 2 and they hit defensive, they're at 20k, you throw an 8,000 power booster behind this, you're swinging for 23. You're hitting over their defensive trigger. Very, very nice that you can use this early on to aggro and get them to push that 4 damage threshold, so that the moment you hit grade 3, you can divine skill if your opponent riskingly gave you the damage to be able to do so. Falheart, pretty standard for the deck. He's your discard fodder for your Rye deck, and it'll start giving you extra cards to work with because of that skill. When you're going second, like I said, because I feel like this deck should go second, and I always try to go second with this deck. The moment I ride grade 1, draw off the starter, draw off the Falheart, you're digging for your pieces. And if you dig into enough grade 1s for your early game aggro, you can start pushing them to 3-4 damage the moment you hit grade 1. So very early, you could potentially get them to the damage required for your divine skill to activate. Running extra copies of Boulder Axe, of course. Very solid unit in the deck. Clears itself off. It'll make your opponent less able to damage tonight. If it sticks, if your opponent doesn't get rid of it, if you use it early game. But otherwise, you'll get it on your turn that you go into Varga, and your opponent won't be, they'll be left with 1 less rear guard to be able to swing at. I actually prefer not having Glaive, because if I have no front row, then my opponent's less likely to damage deny me. And if they can't damage deny me and they have to swing Vanguard, they have to watch how much damage, otherwise I can just unleash a full assault on them. Perfect guards, of course, got your 3-in-1 split. I already talked a little bit about the Jeweled Beast. You can use both of this card's skills with the 1 copy in the same fight. You got your Varga specific booster. Makes your Varga column hit really good numbers. Its first skill gives it extra 5k if you're on a Varga Vanguard when it boosts. And then if it's boosting your Vanguard specifically, it gets another 2,000 power, making it a 15,000 power booster. So behind Varga without any skills, besides this one's, that's a 28,000 power column that is hitting the magic number threshold. And then Varga's skill, that's another 10,038, really, really good numbers. That's at least asking for 2 cards to guard. So really, really good unit to have behind Varga. And then, some people aren't running this, some people might, I don't know. I'm running it personally. If this card sticks, it's a 13k booster. Or, a 13k shield, 10k shield in your hand. So, if for some reason it sticks to the board and you used it to attack, rush early game, then this behind your Boulder Axe is hitting 28k. If they do not run fronts, it's asking for 2 cards to guard. Otherwise, it's going to ask for a front trigger or OT or whatever, multiple cards maybe. So, I think that this is relevant, because the fact that it does give you some really good numbers. Boulder Axe's skill alone makes it a 15k attacker, but with this boosting it, that's another 13 plus the 15, that's 28. So yeah, usually it's asking either your opponent guards with the extra shield front triggers, or it's at least a 2-card guard to guard, 2-card guard with that if they don't have a over trigger. Because, you know, if they have the perfect guard, they still have to discard a card, usually. So that'll still be 2 cards. This makes your rear guard columns hit very good numbers. Otherwise, if it's sitting in your hand, well, that's just extra shield to defend with during the fight. So I think that this has good value. And then you have, of course, your really good support unit, Rokusei. Either, you know, you use it and you lock your opponent out of intercepting. It replaces itself. When you lose a unit that's in front of this, it gets rid of itself to draw you a card. But if you use Shura's effect on it, you can put it back in your hand and then recall it next turn to prevent your opponent's intercepts again. So if for some reason you decide to use it early game to rush, it's not a big deal, because you can easily get it back with multiple ways. So either if your opponent attacks and gets rid of it, then you just use Foul Heart to bring it back later. If it sticks, but you weren't able to kill, you can use it again next turn with your Shura's effect. Because you can use Shura's energy skill to give her power and target it, so that when it leaves the field from its own skill, you get it back to hand and you can call it down next turn to stop the intercepts again. So it is completely okay to rush with this card early game, because you have multiple ways of getting it back. Whether you're drawing into your other copies, you can bring it back with Fall Heart, or if it sticks on the board, you can just slide it to the back row, use Shura's skill to make sure that when it does leave the field with its own skill, that you can be able to use it again on the following turn. And then everything else, pretty typical. You got your 4 heals, your 8 crits. As I said, I was running draws instead of fronts. I personally like draws better for this deck. Blue OT, of course. And then you have your Caliburn. It's either a draw 2-card skill, or it gives you a soul and a counter charge to help with your counter blast management. Or your soul management, depending on how much soul you're using. Ooh, excuse me. But that's pretty much it for the deck itself. Now, I'll go ahead and give you guys a quick fight demonstration. Just one. I've been finding that I've been having a hard time connecting with people online. For some reason, I just cannot really find opponents in a reasonable amount of time. So, for the sake of keeping it short, I'm just going to go ahead and fight the CPU. To make this easy, or easy to understand, we'll fight against Luard, okay? Very hard, because we can handle it. Very easily we can handle max difficulty. Max difficulty is not even that difficult. Alright. Picking Varga, of course, because this is a Varga video. Alright, let's go ahead. So, you're going to see, I'm going to try to give you both points, both perspectives, okay? I'm going to do one where I go first, and one where I go second. So, we're going to see what we do this time. Boom. Okay, so they're going to make me go first this time. So we will go ahead and go and take the first turn one, because we... Oh, okay, that's not what I want to see. Oh, Lord, 2 heals out of deck. Okay, that's a 3rd trigger. Well, that's a case of shit happens. Alright, so since we go first, that's all we do then. And this is going to be a little bit difficult with Luard going second, because Luard really wants to go second. So you're going to see why I don't like to go first with this deck. You know, first things first, we missed out on 3 extra cards. Because when you go second, you draw from the starter, you draw from your discard fodder Fall Heart, and then you get the extra card from your drive check. And if you hit a draw trigger, for example, that's a 4th card. So you get a lot of cards going second. And so you just get so much more value out of it. Now, I'm going to be honest, I think calling Painkiller is not a smart thing unless you're on your grade 2, so you get rid of your grade 1 from the soul, but to each their own. Okay, what do we get? This hurts my soul. Not my Vanguard soul, my person's soul. I'm 4 triggers down that have done absolutely nothing, and that just sucks. Okay, you see, now that's a case of that sucks. We just drew our draw trigger. If we were going second, I think I would have checked it. But it's completely okay. Now, I can't really aggro much because I kind of bricked, as you could tell. But, if I really want, I could call the Jewel Beast right now, but that would be really bad. So, we're just gonna swing with what we've got. We don't really have much to work with. Can't Divine Skill going first anyway, so realistically, if you go first, you can play a little bit more passively, I guess. But going second, you just want to go full aggro. And I'm just really not a fan of having to play so passively by having to go first. Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better. He lost a crit too. After I've lost 2. 2 heals. And a draw. But this is fine. Luard will do Luard things, and then I'll try to Varga with Varga things. But this is a case of the AI doesn't know better how to damage deny, so... you know, take this with a grain of salt. This isn't always how it's gonna go. You're not always going to play against an opponent who doesn't know that they should damage deny you. Okay, so we going into Varga. We got our Foul Heart to discard for the extra replacement card. And then we'll have the Boulder Axe be able to enter the border. I'm going to use the Foul Heart first, just to see if there's anything I could draw that would let me switch my board formation into a different way. Maybe a Okay, that's not a Shura, but that's okay. I was gonna put Boulder Axe in front of the other unit. Which I might... there's really no point calling the Intercept blocker right now. But at the same time, I could try to finagle with things a little bit, and I could try to get him to about I could probably get him to 4 damage. Yeah, I'm going to put Boulder Axe there anyway, because our grade 1's a 13k right now, so we can aggro a little bit. People might question that I'm calling this early, but, you know, I'm going to try to make a good column number with it. You know, Boulder Axe is going to be swinging for 15, but with the extra 8,000 power boost, that's going to be 23. That's going to hit a magic number threshold. So, it's going to hit over the Air Vanguard if they do not hit any defensives. It is going to suck that I'm going to lose my grade 1 because of Varga's skill, but that's completely okay. As we want to try to push them as much as possible. You know, we may not be able to Divine Skill, and we don't have a booster behind our Vanguard, but we, you know, see? They just hit a defensive. So now that Boulder Axe and Varga can still hit. And that's precisely why I thought to put a booster behind Boulder Axe. So we're going to swing Boulder Axe here. You know, it's going to clear off the board before Varga kills everything. We are going to lose 1 unit, unfortunately, but it's not the end of the world. We could get it back later if we really need to. So we're going to be able to hit over that defensive. Great. No other defensive, so Varga can still hit. That entire column is going to retire itself. And so it will They'll get rid of themselves, draw us... Oh, we just drew a perfect card, okay. So we're gonna dig for other pieces, of course, and clear off our Voldrax so it doesn't die to Varga. Why do I keep drawing heals? It's fine, it's fine. Doesn't have to be the most perfect example, it just has to be a example. So Varga's skill here, we're going to be able to hit over their defensive now, 23 to their 20. We do lose that one unit, as I said, it's completely fine now. And they are going to take it. We did hit Glaive. And sure, oh, we can pop off next turn. Now you see, that sucks, because I didn't hit any triggers. And it triggers automatically. Oh, this is like the most pointless restand now. So we can't do anything else, unfortunately. We're just going to be tickling them at this point. We just tickled them with our straw hat. This is okay. We'll be fine. They're gonna get their maple shenanigans going. Uh-huh. Gonna do the good old drag driver shenanigans. Got you. You see, if I were to go first, this would be a very different situation. I might have actually already killed them on the turn that they're on right now. Because we probably would have been doing a lot of plays like that if we were going. So they're gonna swing 18. It's gonna be 18 again. In this case, I literally could just drop the draw trigger to guard it. That's another thing I kind of like about draws. Like, if you get, like, small pokes, you don't have to overguard with a higher power trigger sometimes. Now, I am going to let the drag driver hit. There's really no point guarding it. Now, I don't know if I can kill them on my next turn. Ideally, I would be able to. If not, it's completely okay. I do see that they are building up a lot of hands, so I'm a little skeptical about maybe doing the final turn call against the AI right now. They have a wall of cards in hand. At the very least, we can definitely get that hand broken down a lot. So that's going to be a 23k swing. I think I'm actually going to guard this because it's an easy guard. Because that other column's going to be bigger, and it would be fine to be put to 4. We only need 3 counterblasts anyway. 2 for Varga and 1 for Shuro. And this is going to hit, and it's going to put it to our 4th damage. That's completely okay. Did lose another copy of Shuro, unfortunately, but that's okay. Okay. So we have a Persona Ride, and we're going to use it. I would normally call final turn if I was sure. But against a hand size that massive, I don't see it happening. Persona Ride time. Oh, now I wish I had the 5th damage. Well, actually, no. If I had the 5th damage... Wait. My 5th damage would have been the grade 1 I drew. And then I would have drawn Shura for turn. Oh... You know what? Honestly, I think we're good with this. So I could either call Glaive as a booster or attacker. I think in this case, it might be better to call it to be a booster. To make some better column numbers. Now, I would consider calling down the Drill Beast at this usually, but that'd be if I didn't have a Persona Ride to make my numbers better. You know, I could still do it and try to make, like, some really good column numbers. Which, honestly, I am still considering it, but considering my soul has, Actually, what does my soul have right now? I think I have just the Varga in soul and the grade 1 in the soul. So I have the grade 0 and the grade 2 out of there right now. I guess I could call it down, you know, if I really want to. I could bring it back with a Fall Heart later. I think I'm actually fine with doing that. Yeah, it might push for the 5th damage, and then suddenly everything's a lethal threat. So we're gonna go ahead and do the 2 that are in the drop zone to go back to ride deck so that we get the draw. Draw really doesn't... I was gonna say the draw doesn't really matter, but that's not a bad draw to have for later, if it really got down to it. But I think we're good now. Now we can go ahead and start swinging out. Okay, so I could boost here and try to get them to 5, and I think that's actually a good play. Because if I just swing with the Shura, it's just going to be 25. That's only asking a 1-card guard. If I can try to pressure them and put them to 5, that would be a little bit more ideal for me. So I can try to make this be a 33k column with her skill. Now, I will use the skill on the booster behind Varga because it will retire itself later. And so I'll be able to put that back to hand. That's beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. Now, in this one's case, I'm actually going to conserve the boost. Since they didn't hit any defensives, I know it's still only going to be a 1-card guard. But I can make that column a lot more threatening later. And I'm actually going to use the skill of this one as well. Because I might lose a Shura. So if I'm going to lose it, I'd rather put it in my hand. Because I only have enough damage to use one of them. Oh, I can't choose it, actually. Oh, I see. So I am going to lose a Shura. That's alright, though. Sure, we'll target the same thing twice. Okay, this is fine. We wanted to try to get that pressure going. So now we get even more pressure with our very, very high number Vanguard. It's going to be a solid 48k, I think. That's going to be 38, and then with Varga's skill, that'll be 48. Perfect. And now we will use the Shura skill. So we can make a nice solid column number. And maybe try to get more cards out of the opponent's hand. There we go. We are not using that one because then we can't Divine Skill. They are not able to use OT. Ooh, did we check OT? I haven't seen my OT yet. I could hit OT. Hey, we got a draw trigger that worked. Yeah, we want to give it to Vanguard. What do I draw? Not OT, I can tell you that. Okay. Now we're going to use that skill. It's going to get itself off the board, and then it's going to go right back into our hand. Ooh, we drew Radiant's Caliburn. So now with the skill it inherited, it's going to go back to our hand. And now we're going to use Varga's skill, and it's going to restand. Okay. No point in... it's already in our hand. I can't put a second copy in. So, now we're going to swing again for a much bigger number. 43. It's going to call for a perfect guard. That's great. Would have been really nice if they actually dropped a whole bunch of cards out of their hand, but this is okay. Alright, now we will use Divine Skill. So we're going to restand again. Then we swing again. You know, I am seeing that there are moments that front triggers would work, but I want to be prepared for a chance that if I was in a situation where they didn't work. No triggers. And this is going to be a very, very big number. I don't think I have any energy left to use for her, do I? Do I have enough energy? I do! I'm just going to do it for the extra power and make them drop more shield. I mean, sure. There we go. They still have a lot of cards. That's why I didn't call the final turn. Because they just had way too many cards in hand. Now, it is good I drew Radiant's Caliburn when I did, considering my hand right now. Not my hand, my counterblast situation's looking a little rough. Oh, I'm literally ready for this Drag Strider. I'm literally ready for this Drag Strider turn. He ain't gonna know. But yeah, my hand is still looking pretty good. Let's see. Do I want to take this or do I want to guard? It's only going to be a 3-attack turn. If they hit a crit and put it on the rear guard, then I'm not going to get any counterblasts. So I'm actually going to take this one to ensure I have a extra counterblast to work with on the next turn. No, not my Persona Ride! It's okay. We can still work with things. Grade 1's got intercept right now, doesn't it? He ain't gonna know what hit him. Until he knows. Paying the cost? No, we don't have to discard. You got triple drive. Ha 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 ha. Kanzingado. You see, I literally called it. I had a feeling that they were actually going to check a crit, and then I wasn't going to be able to get any damage if I didn't take that person. Oh, that perfect guard's a little nasty to see. So that's going to be a 38k column? Yep. So, literally just drop my 2 heals to guard. 43. Literally the perfect amount. So I'm not even gonna lie, I am seeing instances where front triggers are still usable. And so I don't think different Refrite running fronts is at all wrong or bad. I do think that it's valid. I might actually end up switching to fronts just to try it. But as of right now, I feel like draws are alright for me. But maybe down the line, I might try fronts in the deck. I'm not entirely sure. Okay, so we are not riding. But we are gonna start by using Radiant's Caliburn to get an extra counter blast. We're gonna put it into the soul and get our counter charge. So now we have exactly enough counter blast for our Vanguard skill and Shura skill. Now we can turn off their intercept again if we want as well. I think we could probably call Boulder Axe out right now, if I'm being completely honest. Or... yeah, we're gonna call it Boulder Axe. I think that's okay. Call out Boulder Axe there. It's gonna be 15k attacker. And then I'm gonna call... what if I... I have a really weird interaction idea, but... I will just call this down. It's gonna turn off that intercept so that he can't try to cheese it. And we're gonna, you know, make sure that we can get rid of their intercept. This is honestly going a lot longer than I anticipated. This one. Again, if I was going first, this would be over a lot quicker. So, we're done with that. We're gonna do our... I'm gonna be completely honest, I think in this case, we swing with Shura no boost, even though, you know, they can't intercept anyway, so... I'm gonna use the Shura skill. I'm gonna use it on, I think, the booster that's behind Boulder Axe. Is there a reason to? Maybe I should just use it on Boulder Axe itself. Yeah, because we have no shortage of boosters. Okay, that's fine. We're going to be swinging now for 23. They're going to have to use a trigger to guard, because it'll be a good 23k column. Yep, there's our trigger defense. Okay, and now we're gonna do the Boulder Axe, what we say, thing. Where they both retire, draw cards. Boulder Axe can return to hand. And then we'll use his effect. Okay, that's good. Now we'll go ahead and go to the center line. We'll do our Varga stuff. Varga's gonna do Varga things. I know they have a perfect guard. We literally saw it in the drive check. Honestly, the longer this drags out, the worse the situation might be. Because the longer you fight against a stride deck set deck, the more power they'll get from the additional strides that they do. So it'll make their column numbers more and more threatening, so we really want to try to end this soon. So we knew they had the perfect guard. I still haven't seen Overtrigger. It might come up here. Please? Bruh! Couldn't you have done it for content? Actually, wait. Get rid of the ride deck card instead, because if I somehow use the cat again, at least I don't lose a waste a soul card. Oh, come on. I couldn't have gotten a crit in my drive check. I drew it. Whatever. Drop something. 33. Can they guard a 33k column? Most likely. I'm gonna be honest, this is not a good demonstration. Okay, they can't guard. Okay, good, it's over. It's over. That was extremely grindy and not a good demonstration. Let's go into game 2 where I go second to show you guys how different it is when going second with Varga. Alright, so here we have where we're going to be going second to demonstrate why that I like to go second with this deck. So we don't have Falheart right now, unfortunately. We might draw into it, though. So it's completely fine. Even if we don't, we have our 3 grade 1s that we need to start doing our early game. So this is completely fine. If we draw the Falheart and we get extra extra cards from the, being able to draw off the skill, then that would be ideal. Falheart. That is not Falheart, but okay. Of these cards, I actually think the Jewel Beast, because we can get it back later. You don't always have to use it to guard. And we'll use the grade 1, grade 0 skill. We got it on the draw. Hey, not a bad hand, honestly. Alright, so here's where we demonstrate where going second shines with this deck. The sheer amount of aggro you are going to see right now is going to be great. But you see it's getting extra power. So now my center column is already 22. Even if they hit a defensive, it's not going to work. So here we go with our swings. We're going to go and start with Rearguard, Vanguard, Rearguard, of course. No defensives. Now, in this case, there's no point swinging Vanguard. We can swing with Rearguard since they didn't hit any defensives. Oh, wow, they're really unlucky. They just lost 2 maples. Yeesh. And then we go Vanguard. Imagine we hit a crit. Not a crit, but okay. But you see, we got him on 3 already after our first turn. That's the pacing we want. And, you know, because we're fighting against the AI, they're not going to know better that they should attack my rear guard, so they're going to give us a more than ideal situation, of course. So just bear in mind against any non-AI opponents that know the matchup, they may start swinging to your rear guards, but it's completely fine. Why couldn't the heal and that have been flipped so I could have put them to 4 early? But you'll start to see that as, you know, my turns keep coming, they're going to start getting more and more pressured. Especially because I get to go second, they can't stride. So it is going to hinder them a little bit. Heck, they might not even get a chance to stride. That's how aggressive that I go. But you're about to see me just full brute force him right now with just a whole bunch of aggressive attacks. And as I said with Shura, you can use the skill before you hit grade 3. So you can hit get extra power to be able to break through their defensives. So we're going to go Rearguard, Vanguard, Rearguard in this case. So at this point, they're already sitting at 4 damage, which means my Varga's Divine Skill is already live when I hit grade 3 next turn, which is the ideal situation I try to go for. Okay, they are going to start dropping some cards. Now, if I get a crit, they have to start guarding. That would have been a nice time for a crit. But it's okay. Now, you might see, that, well, I'm gonna end up losing my Boulder Axe. Because I'm gonna have to, call over from the Boulder Axe in the Soul next turn. That is true. I most likely will. But it is completely fine. Under most cases, I wouldn't have a rear guard to replace because, you know, my opponent would be aggressively swinging into my rear guards. Like, for example, they'd be probably hard targeting the Shura because they would want to stop me from getting my multi-attacks. But now you see, they're already at 5. They don't have much of a hand. And because they're going first, they're not going to be able to do all their stuff. So Luar, oh gosh. The most vanilla swinging I've ever seen. A bunch of grade 3s. And again, the AI does not know better that they should not give Varga damage. So, yeah, they're going to give us a more than ideal situation. This will be a good example of why you shouldn't do what the AI does. Why you shouldn't give Varga so much damage if you can avoid it. If you see Varga with a front row, hard target it. Now, in this case, they actually might swing a rear guard. And this is completely okay. You see, now it's going to make a decision that's smart. But we're going to intercept with Boulder Axe because we're going to get another Boulder Axe anyway. So, we might as well save the Shura. And then we'll take the extra hit from that rear guard. And now the opponent is absolutely going to be dead next turn. Okay, we lost Caliburn. Won't matter, though, because we win this turn. Because if you look at their hand, there's no way they're surviving. So we can safely... You can very safely just final turn right here against the AI. Okay. Let's go ahead and do our thing. In this case, to discard... Probably that grade 1. We have a full back row right now, so... And they're at 5. They're not hitting any defensives. So we 100% are going to be making them drop their entire hand, and they're not going to be able to defend everything. Alright, let us go ahead and get into this aggressive battle phase. So we're at 3 damage. That's literally all we need. 4 damage if we want to double Shura. But now we're going to start asking our opponent to drop a lot more cards. And because I know for a fact that the Luard player is only running the draws and not the fronts, if I use Shura's skill, it's going to be really good. Now, I know I could have attacked Shura first. Honestly, I probably should have. But I think it's completely okay. Because I can still just use Shura's skill on the back row unit. Because I just drew another Boulder Axe anyway. So we're going to start swinging here with that. With our Shura with the boost here. As you can see, you know, we're making good numbers. Shura's skill, we're going to use it on the, I think is it Palehorn Dragon or something like that it's called? Use it on the unit that's behind our Vanguard. It's going to ask for 2 cards because they are not running fronts. Okay, Varga's going to do its thing. There's just no shot that they can survive this. Varga's skill. It's going to take out Shura and their front row. Shura's going to come back. Okay, they are dropping a perfect guard, but look at their hand size. There's quite literally no shot of them even surviving. Everything to Varga. Everything goes Varga. Because we're getting those multiple attacks anyway. Oh, we got a Persona Ride, but we don't even need it. We're not going to make it that far. We don't need Persona Rides. Alright, we're going to use Dragons, the Impalehorn Dragon skill. And then the Shuro skill is going to activate on him as well. So we're going to retire it, draw a card, and then put it back in hand. So we're essentially making a +1. Okay, getting non-triggers out of the deck. Beautiful. So now Varga's going to stand. Now let me look at their hand. Alright, let me try to get them down as far as possible. If they have a 15k shield, they're going to use it now. We're not even using it to get any recursion, we're just doing it for the power at this point. So if they had a draw trigger in hand, now they're going to need to use 2 cards. Okay, they didn't have a draw trigger, they had to use the 1. We don't even need to use our Divine skill. We actually might just kill right here. Unless they have the 1 card Perfect Guard, they are totally dead here. And we got them. And that is why I like to go second. But again, this is just... bear in mind with the grain of salt, you're not always going to be able to do this. Because again, you might get... you might be paired against opponents who know they should not give you the damage. But if you are paired against someone who doesn't know that, and they give you the damage like the AI always does, then going second with Varga on Dear Days 2 against the AI is just going to be free EXP. So you're going to get free, you know, free winnings. Oh, VP, not EXP. You're going to get free VP, and you're going to be able to farm the game very quickly with this stack. Because the AI just does not know better. It doesn't know that they should not give you damage to use for Varga. And so if you have rear guards, the only way they're going to start swinging your rear guards is if you hit defensives. But you could also just give your defensives to rear guards so that the AI just keeps attacking your Vanguard. So quite literally, using Varga against the AI is just free VP. It's just so free. But yeah, that's my take on Varga. You know, again, I will give shoutouts to Different Fight, though, for, you know, he did a good job with his as well, I think. You know, he and I did do some things very differently, and, he was relevant with some of his options. You know, his options were still relevant. It's just that I have a different playstyle for the deck, and I just want to play a little bit more aggressively. I just personally really think that Varga should go second, but again, just because our opinions differentiate doesn't mean anybody's wrong. It really is all personal preference and how you want to play the deck. If you think running 4 copies of Glaive and running the fronts works better for you, then go for it. If you really like the way that you saw my deck play, you know, especially going with my going second playstyle for the deck, absolutely go for it. It's all up to your personal preference. At the end of the day, all I could do is suggest it to you. But, yeah, that's all I have to say about this deck. So, if you guys liked it and you want to see some more videos like this, then do subscribe to the channel. And, go ahead and let me know in the comments if you thought that, if I did this well enough. Or if there's something that you think I should do a little differently, maybe? I don't know. But, share your thoughts in the comments, and, like the video as well if you enjoyed it. I will try doing this stuff, but I'm not gonna do it for every single deck. It's just that I happen to really like Varga. If you guys don't know, I'm a dual-wielding swordsman VTuber. So, I'm actually thematically matching with Varga, because, he has a sword embedded with light and darkness, and that's what these 2 swords of mine are as well. Granted, we're flipped from each other, which is kind of funny, but the theme is still matching. You know, we both have the dragon aspects. If I did this, you'll see I have a dragon arm. I think you can see it. But yeah, that's a dragon arm. You know, that's for my lore. But you see that me and Varga, we match pretty well thematically. We got the dragon aesthetic shared. We have the light and dark sword shared aesthetic, dual wielding. This card was made for me, which is why I really want to build this deck IRL, but I cannot afford it whatsoever. I'll be lucky if I can even get base rarity Varga. If I ever got this, it would just be a freaking miracle. Like, this frame is absolutely gorgeous. But that's enough of me mumbling about this. I hope you guys enjoyed this. And we'll maybe try to come back for a few more in the future. We'll have to see which decks, though. Because I already covered Blindemeyer, I now just covered Varga. But we'll have to wait and see. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Oh, and also be sure to check out my other videos. Maybe you'll like some of the ones that appear on screen. Alright, bye guys.